Greetings, EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast between the 8th to the 11th of July, 2024. Hello! Are you right? I guess it's coming home or something. Yeah? Footy? Yeah? Coming home. 3 tigers on a shirt, or, you know, all that sort of thing. Hi, Ree, how are you?
all right.
Right.
Isn't it 4 tigers? No, it's
I
3
don't know.
lions.
Isn't it 3 leopards? I mean, right, okay, so obviously, with all this football going on, right,
Yes,
it means we're getting inserts and stuff, right? The one this week, honestly, I have to say, I did not understand a word of it.
They just said lots of names and
Lots
that
of
people
names.
kicked a ball and
Yeah,
somebody
and then they started singing a song.
somebody's girl didn't get counted for. I actually watched that bit. I watched that happen. Because
Right.
I actually put a bet on
you?
Netherlands winning 2-1 for the first time in my life, and it was the other way around. So
Right. The
I
only
was invested
involvement,
with the Netherlands.
yeah, well, the only
entire game.
involvement I've had in this entire
Well, I
thing
watched it.
is there was a sweepstake on at work, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It was like 2 quid, you might win the sweepstake. And so you give them 2 quid, and then you pull a random country out of like a bowl that's been written down.
Oh,
So you get a random
okay.
country, and if that country is either in first or second place, I think, then I might win money. So I pulled mine out. Mine was Ukraine. Now, not to get too political, but they're a bit busy at the moment to be practicing
Yeah.
football and stuff, and
Yeah.
they apparently went out quite early, so that was a waste of 2 quid. So I
So
kind
you've
of
not
lost interest after that. To be perfectly honest with you,
Yeah.
so there we
Wait,
are.
hang on then, Rob. The big question: Who are
Yes.
England against then in next match? Is it the final?
Yes, it's the
Or is it
final. I
the
think it's Spain.
Half final.
Spain. No, it's the final. I
Because
think
it's just
Spain.
been the semi-final. Is then there a
Yes.
half final?
Yes.
No, it's the
No,
final.
a half. There's no such thing as a half final.
What is it? Is it the semi-final? The final before the
Semi-final.
final?
Yes, it's the final. The final on Sunday.
Oh, I
I
thought
think
there were another final in between. Oh my
versus
god!
Spain. How many
I
finals
don't
do
even
you want?
care. Don't
How many
even
finals do you
care.
want?
Why am I asking?
Don't give them more finals to do. Make it end.
Right,
right?
so it's against Spain.
It's
Right,
against
okay.
Spain, apparently. Yeah.
No
but
chance
this is,
then.
I don't know if this is the furthest we've ever. How would you know? I don't know if this is the furthest we've ever been. But you know,
I do have a partner who is very interested in football who's told me that Spain are really
right.
good.
So can I ask you to ask him all these questions and not me, because I don't care.
Okay, yeah, I know, but then
fair
I
play.
ask him and then my brain just like switches off when
Yeah.
he starts talking about it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, that's all right. Right, folks.
Right, anyway, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Right, folks, bit of news. So you know how next week looks to be really big and everything?
Yes,
If
it
you've
does,
seen-
doesn't it, Rob?
if
For
you've seen any
EastEnders, a
spoilers,
huge week
yeah,
for
you know,
EastEnders next week.
It looks really, really big next week.
Does it look like a really good big week on EastEnders next week, Rob?
I'm really sorry. I'm on holiday next week. I'm sorry. All right, I didn't know that this was going
And to
to work out
clarify,
this
he's
way.
only just told me this as well. Didn't think to
would-
tell me this sooner.
I did tell her, but it was probably off
He
camera.
reckons-
So
oh,
it
we're
was
off
off camera,
camera.
so she's
Didn't
got no
happen.
idea. She only
Didn't
watches
happen
our
then.
conversations back. She doesn't listen to anything I say to her off camera. So yeah, sorry about that. I'm not here next week. We will, because it looks to be a big old week next week with lots of stuff kicking off. So we will cover it all when we return. I promise you. All right, but you just have to wait a little bit longer than you normally would. You know, like a week.
Rob really apologises.
I do
Rob's
genuinely
really
apologize.
sorry.
I don't like missing big weeks. I really don't. So it's unfortunate that it's kind of fallen this way. I'm going to Budapest, by the way, in case you were interested.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, I hope you have a lovely time in Budapest
Thanks.
while
It's
everyone in
40
Albert Square is
degrees.
probably not having a good
No.
time.
It's 40 degrees in Budapest at the minute, apparently. I'm going to be really,
Eh.
really hot. I'm going with 4 lads. Well, I say lads, we're all gay. And two of them are going for the Formula One. I didn't know. Honestly, you should meet these two that are going to see this Formula One, right? When I first discovered that they were into Formula One, it's literally like learning that Doc Cotton's into heavy metal. You wouldn't
Yeah.
know it to look at them, honestly. But that's what I'm. So they're doing that,
Anyway.
and me and my other mate are just getting pissed all week. So it's gonna be fine. But unfortunately, that's what I'm doing next week. So apologies, but we will cover all the big stuff that kicks off next week in explicit detail. Don't worry about that. Right, on to this week, however. It was kind of a big week. Like the big
What's
story.
happened?
A lot
What's
has happened. One of those weeks where it's an absolute nightmare to put together in notes because there was a big story, big overarching story throughout the week, but then loads of little stories that we've got to sort of just pick up and talk about before we get to the big stuff. So, should we get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, let's crack on with this week. We'll start off with talking about Reese and Sonia and Sharon. Now then, I love most stories at the moment in EastEnders. I really, really do.
You love Reese.
I do love Reese. I do love
You
Reese, and I
still
love
do?
Sonia. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I am, however, very ready for this IVF thing to begin and like to move on. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it feels like this is going on for a long. I know IVF takes a long time.
I was going to
and
say,
if it-
Rob, like, bit
I know
harsh because people do have to, like,
I know
go
people do
through
this for
years of
years. I know
this.
they do it for
And
years,
you're fed
don't
up
they?
of watching it for a
But do
few
you know
months.
what?
Come
I
on.
don't have to. But do you know what? The difference between them and this is that I don't have to watch them. I don't have to do a
Well,
podcast
yeah.
about them.
Yes,
You know,
yes. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm like, what are you on about?
sat there with binoculars. Oh, I think they've got successful this time. No, but we seem to have a little bit of movement on it this week. Sonia's having
Do you
another
know
round.
what? Do you know what I think it is? Like, it's constant, and I feel like, and I could be totally wrong on this, but remember when the last round failed and everyone was like, maybe you should take a bit of a break, Sonia?
Yeah.
I feel like they actually should have
Should have
made
taken
a break.
Maybe should have taken a break with it.
Yeah,
But then
and
this
then
would have
come
gone on
back
for
to
even
it.
But then this would have gone on for even longer.
I know. But
like I say, I know it takes a while. I get that. But the thing is, IVF in soap always does go on for this long, and so they've had to throw all these extra additional elements at it to keep it interesting. So I get it, but I'm just I'm ready for because I'm still unsure as to what the plan is with Reese. You know, I really like Reese as a character, and I get the impression that what he does this week he's not happy with himself about. So it's not like he sat there twiddling his beard in a corner and sniggering. But
well, I'm seeing this very dark side now.
Of course you are. Go on, tell me all about it.
Because he is so principled and doesn't want to do anything wrong in this. Oh, I'm so nervous. He's got no problem in nicking money off Sharon though. And I know he's desperate, but is he that desperate to nick like the way that he's doing? It's very calculated, literally.
Well, he has a letter arrived this week saying that he owes Debbie's care home over £18,000. Now, if I got a letter like that in the post, I'd be panicking slightly. You know, like where the hell do you? And they want it in like the next few days.
Yeah, I get it. But whose fault is it that he owes 18 grand? You know,
whose fault's that, Reese? Whose fault's that?
Exactly.
So he and meanwhile, Sonia's starting another round of IVF. So she's hoping they're all hoping that that's going to be successful. So he's sort of looking for money. Like we're trying to work out what he can do. So eventually, Sharon turns around to him and says, "Well, I've got some work for you. It's not quite 18 grand, but I've got you can bit of cash in hand. That'll do you some good, won't it?"
Yeah.
Now I've got to be honest. What Sharon actually wanted doing went over my head completely because I'm not very good with accounts and all that kind of thing. Have you got an accountant?
I do the accounts. I do accounts.
So
he will be. So basically, you need to submit all your.
So you knew this about me, Rob. Yeah, go on.
No, the computers do it all for you, Rob.
Oh right, okay.
Basically, any purchase that you make needs filing, and then it can go against your VAT bill. So what you'd pay in VAT would be 20% of your takings if you earn over a certain amount. But you can claim some of that back by putting in your invoices and your purchases. So you'll be doing that side. But with the sounds of it, Sharon was also owed money from clients for various things. So Reese has been chasing that up because people are, they've not made the payments. And that's how he's then gone, oh, you owe some interest, by the way. So, yeah.
And I'll have the interest. Yes, that bit I got. So basically, all the interest that Sharon is owed, Reese arranges to go into his accounts. Now, I'm kind of intrigued as to how long he thinks that's going to remain a secret, because surely someone like Sharon, she might be a bit behind on a few things in her accounts, but I'm pretty sure that she's got enough business acumen to realise that she's being diddled.
Yeah, because surely I was just thinking, like, surely one of her customers will see her at gym and go, oh,
to get that interest,
that money go into your accountants? Did that interest go into your accountants? Yeah, bank account. Like, just making sure. Surely someone's going to say that.
Yeah, you think. Yes.
But is she just going to trust Reese so much that she's not going to chase anything
because he's a very trusting bloke, isn't he? Yes, a very trustworthy bloke.
Exactly, Rob.
Little nervous Reese from across the square wouldn't do anything like nicking £18,000 off Sharon, would it? But is that how much interest she got? 18 grand.
Well, it showed, didn't it? And there were one that were over £1,000 and stuff. But I guess but he saw it as, oh well, she must not be too hard done by. She didn't notice all this money that she were owed.
I mean, to be fair, he's got a point. Like, if if he's got enough now to pay off Debbie's care home bill, I'm surprised.
Surely not.
I mean,
surely not.
He
was charging interest at 20% of what they owed, weren't
so
I noticed that.
Did he get a bit more out?
20% on.
So he was overcharging them. Oh, okay. So he's
and then made them. Yeah, then he made them pay the 20% into his account. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw.
Of all the things that we're going to get corrected about over the course of doing this podcast, I doubt that's going to be one of them.
Well, if so, that's
but if
fine,
they are,
please do.
I'm normally the one that gets corrected, so please feel free to correct Ree. Never happens.
I'm pretty sure that's what he did. So somebody owed, $1,000. He's got 200 quid.
yeah. I mean, right. So I have to say, yes, I do love Reese. And can I just say before I suggest this, I don't want it to go in this direction. Okay.
I know what you're going to say.
John Stape.
John Stape. I'm totally getting it. And you know that he's got to be anchor somewhere, Rob. You know that he's got to be anchor somewhere.
I don't see why he would though. Like, what's the point of that?
But we've not heard from her. She drove off drunk in a taco.
She did.
And then we've not seen or heard from her again.
Yeah, but she'd revealed everything, so it's not like he's keeping her tied up to be quiet or anything. So why would you?
Why would you? Just a bit tapped. What really happened to Debbie? What really happened?
You've got it all worked out, haven't you?
Well, I've got half of it worked
out.
But I do think. No, I am starting.
You think there's a darker side to Reese? I mean, I do wonder. I like Reese a lot, and the thing is, I feel like we're supposed to have a sense of ambiguity about him.
Yeah.
That there's a little bit of sort of like, can I trust you? I don't know if I can. So I wouldn't be 100% surprised if it's suddenly revealed that he's got about 12 people locked up in a shed somewhere. And
including Bianca.
Including Bianca. God, those poor people being locked up with Bianca for 12 weeks. Can you imagine?
Let me out.
Let me out. Please, this gobby woman. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going, really. I mean, so do
you think that Reese is just desperate and throwing all of his morals out of the window, or do you think he has got this dark side?
I hope that I'm right, and I know that
he's just really desperate.
Yeah, I hope, because I don't. The thing is, the soap serial killer thing has been done to death. Do you know what I mean? I'm so bored of soap serial killers.
We've got a 40th coming up, Rob.
I know, but I don't know. I mean,
I know what you're saying, but also it could work with him in a John Stape kind of way. We should say that for anyone who doesn't watch Coronation Street, we're referring to a completely different soap there and a character who resembled Reese somewhat. It was the most kind of
but it was the most convoluted storyline I've ever seen in the soap, the John Stape story stuff. Honest to God, but he was sort of like an accidental serial killer, wasn't he? Like he just kept finding himself in these. It was quite funny, but it was just like he sort of kept finding himself in situations where he was like, "Well, you need to die now. I don't want to kill you. Sorry,
right, now I've got to kill someone again."
Yeah, great. Sorry, my life just gets worse. So it's not like he was a sort of evil mustache twiddling villain. He was sort of just like somebody whose life was just falling down around him, so he didn't have a lot of choice. So I can sort of see that with Reese, if that is the direction they choose to go in with it.
Oh my God, he's going to kill Debbie so he don't have to pay her fees anymore.
I think he'd still owe the money, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but he wouldn't have to keep paying him, would he? Because he owes 18 grand now. He's still got to keep paying him while she's there.
And then, I can see that.
And then will that be the start of it or something?
Yes, I can see that, because why have they kept Debbie around all this time? Because I'm pretty sure we met Debbie about a year ago now. So she's just been in this coma for a year. And you've got to wonder, why is she still sort of there?
We've been thinking she's going to wake up. Maybe it's going to be the opposite, and that he kills her so he don't have to pay her fees anymore.
Opposite. She's going to be the opposite to waking up. She's going to die.
Dead.
I think you might have a point there, Ree, to be honest. And guess what? You just said it on camera as well, so I remember that.
It's on
there
camera.
You go. It's on camera.
It's not going to happen now.
It's not going to happen now. It's on camera. Yeah, there you go. I mean, please do let us know in the comment section what you think is going on with the Reese storyline. I kind of hope he isn't going to be a killer, but the more evidence that is presented to me, I sort of wonder if it is going to start going in that direction, I have to say. Let us know in the comment section. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next story. Okay, so moving on to Denzel and Howie and Yolandi. So, Ree, if you ever take steroids, okay, please be aware that you can't just stop taking steroids, okay? because you'll get withdrawal
well,
symptoms.
That does make sense, to be fair, doesn't
does seem to be the logical path.
Idea. Yeah.
I mean, maybe don't take them in the first place, but if you are going to take them, don't just stop taking them. You have to be on a course or something.
I'm surprised that it took like Nugget to mention it and that no one else.
And
Amy researched it as well.
Oh, well, Amy, you'd expect it to, but Nugget's got nothing to do except sit in his hospital bed, so you might as well find out what drugs he's been on.
I just mean that it's the kids who pointed out maybe it's not a good idea to just stop taking a drug. Like,
isn't that interesting?
The adults think
isn't that interesting? The parents are sort of like, well, you can stop doing that immediately, where actually medically it's not that good an idea. You need to sort of come off them steadily. I didn't think of it, to be honest with you. So fair play to them for that, because I bet so many times in soaps when they do a drug storyline, people just come straight off them. Like this young man, when he came up, like Phil, when he came off his crack, he just stopped. Yeah. It's about 2 weeks. He was a crack.
I don't know what you do with crack. I know with heroin you get that methadone. I do,
but that's a different conversation altogether. So. Sorry. Right. So where were we? Oh yes. Denzel and Howie. So
steroids.
So I mean, he is. He's still he's still moody and sort of taking it out on everybody, isn't he?
What's with his arm? Why is his arm bad? Is that because he stopped taking him? Is that a withdrawal?
I think so. Like, I was wondering for a minute, was he having an heart attack or something?
Other arm.
Yeah, other arm. Yeah. So so I'm assuming it's his body going, give me the drugs back. I need the drugs to make me big again, please.
Maybe his muscles are losing mass or so. I don't know. Maybe it's doing something to his muscles because he's just stopped taking them.
I assume this is what happens when Popeye stops eating spinach.
Yes.
Because
he'd probably go a bit anemic, Popeye.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So basically, he's now going to a doctor's appointment and he is going to slowly start coming off his steroids. So that's going to be a bit of a journey for him. I'm still not convinced that he's going to come off them altogether, though.
No, I'm not. Now that he's going to start taking them again and try and wean, maybe he's just going to be like, well,
that's the hard side of it.
I've got to wean off them, but then really he's like taking double the dosage or something. Yeah.
I think that's exactly because he's hurting as well.
Injecting it.
Yeah, I think so, because he's hurting as well, isn't he? So I wonder if he's going to think, well, if I take a little bit more, maybe the pain might stop. It's a tricky path, I think. So, I mean, like I say, fair play to him for doing it this way, because I think it's more realistic this way. So I'm intrigued to sort of see where it goes. I'm feeling like this is not done by a long stretch yet. Nugget, meanwhile, is sort of recovering in hospital. Still might have to have this dialysis that no one told him about, by the way. No one told him.
Oh, yeah, that was a bit harsh, wasn't it?
His mum, Freya, had to tell him that. And she was like, did no one tell you? Oh, yeah, you might have to have a dialysis. So sorry about that. Yeah.
How did she not know that no one had mentioned it as well? I know, obviously, she were kind of keeping a distance after the
I think she rightly came out. But I think she rightly assumed that someone might have mentioned it to him.
That Ravi had told him,
or anybody, maybe even the nurses that worked there. A doctor might have said, by the way, whilst you sat there, you need to be aware of this small little fact. So we'll see. I mean,
even Denzel knew, didn't he? Because
everyone knew except Nugget. Everyone knew except Nugget. Bless him. I mean, he seems all right, doesn't he? Like, he's sort of moving about. He's moving about. He's able to get out of bed and everything. So
his bedding was very childish for his age. Did you not think the bedding that he had on?
Was it like motor cars or something?
No, it was like, I like space and like rocket ships.
I like space. What are you on about? I'd love those bed sheets.
But it was very childish for Nugget. He's like an older teen now. Anyway, just an observation.
You should see my bed sheets, Thompson Tank Engine I've got.
I would not put that past you, Rob. Would not put that past you at all.
I used to love Thompson Tank Engine when I was little.
He still goes on about every week he somehow mentions Thompson Tank Engine.
I do not. Shut your face. Anyway. Ruined that show. Have you seen it? Have you seen what they've done to that show?
Ruined
CGI.
it. Everything
CGI is ruined. Anyway, so I'm assuming Nugget's going to be fine, but obviously,
I think so.
In the long run, I think he'll be all right. But I'm sure there's some little medical dramas to come. But so that's all going on. Amy, so do you think I think she's thawing slightly, isn't she? Because she's a good old sort. She's thawing slightly, so melting. Like sort of warming up to him a little bit. I think slightly.
She's going to stand her ground though. He'll need to really make it up to her, I think. But,
I mean, I think he's a long way off.
She had that scene, didn't she, where she was quite in his face about the lion too, right? I'm glad that we had that double recognition.
I mean. And Avani's not his best mate either at the minute, is she?
No, she's definitely not.
No. So he's got a lot of making up to do. So being stroppy all the time isn't going to help his case. But
maybe him and Amy. It depends on whether he carries on steroids. I guess whether he and Amy will get back together.
But then he wasn't exactly a pleasant person when he was on the steroids.
I really like Amy. I like Amy. She's like the she's like the strong, wise side of Roxy, isn't she? Because Roxy did have that side as well.
Yeah, now and again, Roxy would have quite a mature side to it. Not very often, but it was there now and again.
Yeah.
So it's like if that's the one point of her personality that Roxy's given Amy, which is quite good. So I do like. I'm assuming at some point they're gonna get back together, because the point is that if she is there in McClunky's with Yolandi and like prepared to have that conversation, there is still something there, isn't there? So
you'd think.
I think at some point they will end up getting back together. Talking of Yolandi, really nice stuff there, because Yolandi obviously sees Denzel sort of lashing out and everything and decides to sort of just talk to him, because Denzel comes home and it turns out, by the way, that Yolandi and Delia's testimony has managed to get Pastor Clayton charged.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
I feel like that should have been a bigger moment.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It kind of was slotted in, but then again, how else was she going to find out, really?
Yeah, I know.
Just came and delivered the news. I know what you're saying there. I do know. I do get it. Maybe it'll be a bigger moment once he's actually sentenced, and once we have that actual definitive moment that he has been found guilty.
And then
because now he's just charged.
Although that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be found guilty.
Well, no, it doesn't. But
realistically, as we've seen from our stat research, it might not end up that way. But Denzel comes home to them talking about this, and he's actually the only one in the family that doesn't know what went on with Yolandi. So he kind of gets all paranoid and thinks everyone's talking about him, storms off, and Yolandi's like, right, okay, I need to tell him. I need to talk to him. So they have this really nice scene, don't they? I really like that scene where she actually tells him what went on, and then he obviously goes, "Oh, I'm going to kill him." And she said, "Well, you'll have a job because he's currently in a cell. So good luck with that." So I'm pleased that I love Denzel and Yolandi's relationship. Yeah. It's nice, isn't it? Like it seems that Yolandi is probably the only one that can really get through to Denzel a lot of the time.
Yeah, he's got a lot of respect and love for her, hasn't he? Denzel?
Yeah, it's like this. It's similar to that sort of relationship that Ben and Pam used to have. I quite like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always when you've got a tearaway and a kindly older lady. It's nice.
Yeah.
Good.
I did think. Is Denzel still going to run off and find Pastor Clayton somehow? Will he get released or something in between the sentencing? Is he
we thought this right at the start of this, didn't we? When Denzel first started taking them and the sexual assault first happened, we were like, well, that's going to be a combination, isn't it? It's angry Denzel on drugs and someone who sexually assaulted his auntie. That's not going to go well. So yeah, I think that might still happen. I think there is more to come out of Yolandi's storyline, because, like you say, I think it was if that would be a bit of a sort of anticlimactic ending to what we've had up to this point. So I feel like there is more to come there. So have to wait and see. Right, ladies and gentlemen, next story. I have a question for you, Ree. What the hell is Ian up to?
Right, he's either on phone to Cindy Jr. or Jane. Yes. I think Jane.
I hear tell, which is another reason why I'm really sorry that I'm not here next week. Is
this a spoiler or a rumor?
No, it's not a spoiler. I just hear tell. I hear tell that it's big next week, whatever is kicking off with this. I'm sorry, I'm not here.
Rob.
I'm sorry. All right. I sent my holiday schedule to the BBC and they didn't listen. So I asked them politely, can you please work your storylines that you've got planned 6 months in advance around my holiday schedule? Okay. And they didn't listen. So frankly,
not your fault.
Frankly, defund the BBC, I say. No, I don't mean that. I love the BBC.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's on the phone to somebody and he's up to something. He's telling lots of lies, pretending that he's a counsellor. Do you remember Councillor Beale? That was a time.
I do remember Councillor Beale. How could we ever forget
Beale? Keep it real like
Ian Beale. Yeah.
Yes. Apparently Letitia Dean has still got that cardboard cutout in her dressing room. Apparently, they said that, you remember Secrets from the Square that they did during COVID?
Yeah.
She revealed that they had that big cardboard cutout of Ian, and she's kept it because purely for the fact it makes her laugh.
Yeah, fair enough. Why not?
If she's had a heavy day's filming, she will just go into her dressing room and just look at Ian, the cardboard cutout, and absolutely piss herself laughing. That's
there you go. Good.
Fabulous way to live, I say. So what we've got in the background with this, Bobby's birthday's coming up. I like this.
Bobby's birthday.
Bobby's 21st, right? Can we say Bobby was 11 when he killed Lucy?
He's 10.
10,
but Bobby's
11.
still 10 to me. Yeah,
exactly.
21.
10 or 11, we are so old, Ree. So old. He was a child when he killed Lucy, and now he's like 21,
older than
fully
Lucy.
grown adult. Yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch, actually. And I can imagine that really messing with Bobby. I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah.
I do feel for him. I really, really do.
As if Anna didn't figure that out when he said, like, oh, well, not everyone's here to celebrate my birthday. And she's like, oh, what does it mean? It's like, come on, Anna, you're not that ditzy. It's pretty obvious.
Going through his phone book and sort of like, oh, well, I can tell.
Which one of you don't want to?
Which one of you nasty people?
Yeah.
So he's not really looking forward to being 21, which I can understand. Ian clearly couldn't care less. So Peter is sort of just left with sort of trying to work it out. Unless
could Ian really not care less, or is Ian actually planning to try and get Jane back? That's what I was wondering.
It would be nice
to see him for his birthday.
I would love to see Jane again. It would be nice. Yeah. It would be nice before Bobby's exit if he can put this to bed in his head, wouldn't it? That would be nice.
Maybe it's to do with his exit or something, and Jane maybe is going to come back, and that's how they're writing it in somehow. Yeah,
goes off with Jane. That would be nice,
wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
but then if Jane came back and she were willing to try and make a go at it with Ian again, who do you think he'd pick between Jane and Cindy?
Cindy.
Do you reckon?
All day long. All day long, because because ultimately he's got back with her, even though she had multiple affairs. He knows that she kissed George, and
true.
she tried to have him shot.
Yeah, but are they both a bit
and
of a
she faked her own death?
I know. He's just got a really bad soft spot for her. Yeah.
And actually, thinking about that as well, why out of the two women you say, right? So one of them reminds him of Lucy. The other one took Lucy away from him in a lot of ways. So
yeah, true. Helped hide Lucy's. Yeah, okay.
Dumped her in the woods with wild abandon.
I love Jane and Ian there. Jane and Ian were such a good duo.
They really were, and I think it's interesting now, actually, leading up to the anniversary again, that they're sort of bringing up the Lucy stuff again because it was such a huge storyline. And again, we're still on this. We're still talking about the Lucy storyline all these years later.
Yeah.
Is that not the greatest soap storyline of all time?
Yeah, I know. I hated it at the time as well.
Oh, I didn't. I loved every second.
Why have you killed Lucy off? Why?
I loved every single second of the Who Killed Lucy storyline. It lost a bit of. It got a bit weird towards the end, but ultimately, I think it was one of the great. I mean,
I just didn't like that they killed her off.
Yeah, fair. I mean, but name me any other storyline that we're still talking about 10 years later on a soap.
True.
I can't think of any. So yeah, brilliant. So yeah, interesting. This is all probably going to be kicking off next week because there's a lot kicking off next week. So
is this linking into the stuff that's going to happen with Anna going out for Bobby's birthday or something?
Yeah. I mean, not to spoiler it or anything because we did mention this in spoiler sections last week. So the stuff kicking off with Anna soon as well. So I think it might all be connected in some way in this big old week that I'm not here for next week. I'm sorry. Okay.
Someone's still going to ask next week, even though you mentioned it enough times. Where's the podcast?
Get at least 2 emails next week saying, why is there not a podcast? What are you doing? What are you playing at? What are you playing at? I'm sorry.
To be fair, what are you playing at, Rob? But anyway,
I know. I'm sorry. Right, so we will discuss that ultimately in a couple of weeks' time, I think. That'll be the outcome of that.
But do you think it is Jane, by the way? Or do you think it's Cindy Jr.? Because I'm seeing a lot of people online saying Cindy Jr.
I haven't seen the Cindy Jr. theories. I've only seen the Jane theories kicking around.
Oh, no, I've seen a lot saying Cindy Jr. as well, yeah.
But why would Ian be on the phone to Cindy Jr.?
Because she's going to come back and he's just trying to surprise Cindy with it. Yeah.
For a laugh. Oh, okay. So nothing to do with Bobby then whatsoever, you think, with the Ian stuff?
No, possibly not. Well, I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of people. I'd think it'd be better if it was Jane, but I've seen a lot of people theorising.
Because he also did turn around to Peter at the end. Peter because he's been making up this counselling lie all week. Yeah. And Peter goes, well, I don't trust you. And rings the council and discovers that Ian is nowhere near doing anything to do with the council. So ultimately confronts him. And Ian says, right, okay, yeah, fair play. There is something going on, but you're not going to like it. So I feel like that more lends itself towards Jane than it does to Cindy Jr. Because as far as I remember, Cindy Jr. and Peter didn't exactly leave each other on bad terms.
That's
but
true.
Jane and Peter definitely did.
Yeah.
So I think that's more likely, isn't it?
I agree, but there are people saying Cindy Jr. So with a recast.
Fools, I say. But that means that's probably Cindy Jr.
Well, no, but then to be fair, then why not just share the Cindy and Cindy reunion on screen if it were going to be Cindy Jr.? Why did they bother doing it off screen? So yeah, probably. We will see.
Right, ladies and gents, time for the big storyline of the week. You were right. I was right. Feel so lonely. So, on to the big storyline of the week. Ree, you were right. And I was right.
Yeah,
individually,
okay.
we were both correct.
We were both,
Ooh,
yes.
I'm so happy this storyline is happening. Yes.
I mean, I could say I'm not happy, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good storyline to happen.
It's such a genius storyline to give to Phil because this is so outside of his usual remit as a character, isn't it? Like this is outside gangsters and bats.
And he's the perfect kind of guy to give it to because a lot of men get old and end up doing this and pushing people away and then wonder why they're
Phil is
rattling around their house on their own.
Yeah, and Phil is literally the last man on earth who is going to talk about his feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is I love it. So a load happened with this storyline actually because we lost Stevie halfway through the week as well.
Has he fully gone now then?
I don't know. He's definitely gone for now. Yeah, I mean he's definitely gone for now, hasn't he? So I feel like we'll see him again at some point. But it was Stevie's birthday. Okay.
Yes.
We had
all this happen.
This happened, yeah. So rewind. So Stevie's birthday, and Billy is kind of like, well, I get on with my dad now. This is great. Yeah, we'll have a first dad and son birthday, and it'll all be marvelous. We'll drink pints and be merry and watch the footy, and yes, it'll be fabulous. And so the only person that isn't entirely thrilled with this idea is, of course, Phil. Who just doesn't. Did we ever really get like the true reason as to why?
No, there's still some big reason why Phil doesn't like Stevie.
But the thing is, I think this was answered by the end of the week.
You reckon?
Pure. Yeah, I think it's pure and utter bitterness and pure and utter jealousy because Stevie comes into Billy's life. And all of a sudden, Phil realizes that he's not the most important figure in Billy's life anymore because all of his new family has turned up. I mean, obviously, I don't think Phil knew about the likes of Teddy and Harry and Barney, but what it meant was that another sort of patriarch comes into Billy's life and sort of Billy's got someone new to look up to, essentially. That's what it's about. It's about Phil being the head of his clan. And when Stevie arrives, that position is threatened.
See, I still think there's more to it. I know what you're saying there.
I think that's genuinely all it is.
You reckon? You reckon it's all done with, and it would just Phil being a bit too OTT about Stevie coming back, and
I think so.
No real reason. I still think there might be something, but you may well be right. I know what you're saying. That he's just jealous that Billy's going to have someone else in his life. And, would he be jealous of an old man like that, though? It's not much of a competition.
It's not about
hierarchy.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about the fact that no matter how many times that Phil slaps Billy around and treats him like a little worm, at the end of the day, Phil needs Billy more than Billy needs Phil. And that's something that I think he was confronted with this week, where, and Billy really stuck up for himself this week. Which was there was some
really. Wait till he finds out that it was Teddy who put him up to that as well.
So, we'll talk about Teddy in a minute because I'm now.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh, really, Rob?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
Oh, really? Is there just something that you can't put your finger on with him? Interesting.
I don't know. Because
I quite liked him this week.
we swapped boats.
Yeah, a little bit.
So this all birthday stuff is going on, and Phil's like, well, no, I just need to get rid of you. This is enough now. No more birthdays in Walford. Thank you very much. So he rings Richie.
Yeah.
And Richie obviously has a Wikipedia on every single person that Phil could ever want her to have a Wikipedia information
actually, very good point. How did she find that out?
It's all very convenient. I mean, Richie can find out anything about anybody in the world.
Of course. She's got contacts.
I'm pretty sure that Buckingham Palace ring up Richie every now and again just to find out things about people that they need to get rid of. It's sort of like, can you just find out a bit for cheers. And so what Phil then discovers is this whole story about Billy's mum. Now, I think we both thought that Val was dead anyway, didn't we?
Yeah, I already thought. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
why did we think that?
I don't know. Well, I think it was just assumed that we never really met. We've never met her before, and Billy's of a certain age,
so I
care,
and he was dad on his own,
I think we just assumed that assumed that she was dead. Well, she is dead, but not for the reasons. But Billy thought she was still alive. It transpires.
Yeah. Yeah.
Billy thought she was swatting it up in the Tenerife or something.
And he were quite nice about it. Like, I just thought that she'd like had a win on bingo and left me in care. But I hope she's doing all right, no matter where she is.
I mean,
would you not be a bit more bitter about your mum?
I know. Is that not just the simplicity of Billy? Like, just I assume she's wants on the bingo. What a nice life she must be having.
Yeah.
As if any woman leaves their son because they've had a win on. How many wins on the bingo do you think it's going to take to be able to leave a child behind for the rest of their lives?
2 children as well.
Yeah, 2 bingo wings.
Yeah,
wins. 2 bingo
God,
wins. Anyway, so
yes,
so all of this is revealed, and it turns out that what actually happened was that Stevie was having like a fling with Teddy's mum.
Mm-hmm.
Billy's mum walked in on this, was so devastated by what she saw that she ran away, went to a hotel room, and was found the next morning next to a bottle of pills, and she was dead. She committed suicide over what she had discovered. And Stevie has had to live with this for the rest of his life, and has kept all of this away from the rest of the family, like this big dark secret that he's got about his involvement in Billy's mum's death. So, Billy discovers all this, courtesy of Richie. How the flip Richie found out all of this, I have no idea. Thank you. How did Richie find out all of this? I'd love to know.
I don't know. She just must know people, or maybe she just has access to certain registers because she knows somebody. And she said, "Right, look up anything about Stevie." And then they said, "What about his wife? Do you know that she died in this year?" And she went, "No, we didn't." There we go.
Yeah. So that's the story that we've now got. And quite obviously, Billy's very, very upset by this. They have a big old confrontation. Really good episode for Billy, I think, on the Tuesday episode, where he's just sort of dealing with the consequences of this, realizing that he's basically been lied to his entire life by the man that ultimately put him in care. And we know that Billy didn't have an easy time in care. So there's a lot of blaming going on, and a lot of it's going towards Stevie. So in some ways, Phil is feeling completely, utterly vilified by what he's done. It's sort of like, it makes total sense to him. Like, clearly he's a very bad man. Off you go then. And ultimately, Stevie realizes that he kind of has to say farewell for now. I think we are going to see Stevie again, though. I get that impression, because I think he's gone down quite well with the audiences. I think a lot of people really like him. So
he and Mo worked as well.
They really did.
Because obviously Mo was kind of there so that we could see Stevie talking to somebody about what were going on.
Yes,
but him and Mo were a good little duo as well.
Yeah,
like to see that again.
I think we'll see Stevie again. I really, really do.
Are they still boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said. Described Mo as he's got one of them described him as a boyfriend or a girlfriend towards the end when they had that sort of send-off scene. So that was quite touching. So yeah, I think we'll definitely see Stevie again, and I look forward to it when it happens. But before he goes, he has an argument with Phil, and then sort of swipes Phil's car keys out of his pocket.
Of course, yeah.
And then gets Mo to get someone to steal it and sell it for, like, I don't know, 50 grand or something.
20 grand. Yeah. Only 20, Rob.
My favourite part of this was when Phil came out and discovered that the car was missing, and turned around to Sonia and said, "Have you seen my Mo?" She's like, "Yeah, it's really nice. I like
it's really nice." That was nice. That was good.
That's funny. So I don't think he's ever going to see this car again. And Stevie leaves the money that he got in cash to Billy to give to Janet and Will.
Nice. Why not?
Yeah. And funnily enough, Billy's quite forgiving after that. He's like, I was like, all right, fair, thanks very much. So they sort of have an understanding that Stevie needs to leave, but you've also given me 20 grand, so I think we'll call it quits then. Fair play.
Well, and we also have Billy obviously puts 2 and 2 together and goes, "Well, he's obviously stole Phil's car and given me." Billy's all right.
In a piece of very uncharacteristically logical thinking by Billy, he does sort of work. Mind you, it's not that difficult to work out, really.
No,
Phil's car's gone missing.
He discussed it with Teddy, and they both went.
To be fair, I think Teddy was the one that put the idea in his head, wasn't it? So
but
that all
Billy's okay with it, because obviously he found out that Phil was trying to set Stevie up for the missing money.
Yes.
And then goes and has this massive argument
with which he calls Phil the runt of the litter. And I tell you what, that was one of those moments when it was one of those really kind of satisfying moments where you've watched these characters for long enough that you know that's hit home, that you know that's actually a really massive moment for Billy to say that to Phil. It genuinely made me gasp when he said that. I was like, "Oh, Billy! Oh, literally Billy Big Bollocks over here," you know?
Yeah.
It was a big moment, that I thought, and that was the start, I think, of Phil starting to feel as though he was starting to be pushed away by the family.
Yes.
And that's only worsened throughout the week.
Mm.
I mean, so they have this meal, and because Phil and Billy have fallen out, Billy doesn't want him there. This is really it's really difficult with Phil because he brings all of this on himself.
Yeah, but
and yet, do you feel sorry for him?
I do, yeah, but then I'm also wondering, is he already going through some depression stuff before the loneliness is kicking in? Because, well, before the meal, we've also had Tommy and Kat who've decided that they're not having anything more to do with him because he snapped at Tommy, didn't he?
Mm.
And Kat's decided Tommy's clearly wanting a life of crime now after he's caught pickpocketing.
Logical thinking, to be fair, with Phil as a father figure.
That's no longer a connection he's got either, because he was still very much playing stepdad in some respect to Tommy.
Yeah.
Then we have the Denise and Raymond thing. And Denise made a comment which made me wonder, are they trying to imply that he's already getting depressed because she said he's so angry all the time? And that irritability can be a symptom of depression, can't it? So is that why Phil's been he's coming across as super defensive, and is that just him being irritable and reacting like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because the way that he sort of flares up at that meal, because they have this big meal in Walford East, and he is just genuinely furious at Teddy, and him and Harry do not get on whatsoever.
No.
Like, they really, really don't. I think it's because Harry reminds him of Keanu.
Reminds me of Keanu.
I really do.
Totally.
Really are.
It's like, I met your cat before.
Yeah, they really are quite so. You stay away from Sharon as well. They really are quite similar, aren't they? So those two are flaring up, and Phil starts accusing Harry. He starts slagging off Stevie, of which immediately gets Harry's back up. And then Phil decides, oh, well, clearly you're the one that's nicked my car in revenge or something. So they start having a fight. Jay, who has been trying to play peacemaker throughout the week, ends up getting one of those moments where someone gets smacked in the process. Jay's got a bloody nose. All the kids are there watching.
Is that enough for Jay to turn his back on him? Because I think that's what's being implied now. Well, he's just hit Jay. Surely Jay would know he didn't mean to hit me.
I mean, I think the thing is, I think that Jay is in a place at the moment where he's sort of like, look, I've got enough going on. All right, I've got Lexi to look after, and I'm still sort of grieving my wife because nobody will stop going on about Lola. So I need to. There's still this picture of her behind the bar.
Picture's still up every time I want a pint.
Every single time I just find a new pub because just every time I go in there, I see my dead ex-wife. So Jay's got enough going on. So I feel like Jay is slightly less abandoning him than everybody else, because Jay's the one that is trying to sort of hold everything together this week. But they end up in a big old fight. Jay ends up accidentally getting smacked, and then there's this really interesting moment between Phil and Teddy. And I think this is the catalyst to it, because Phil and Teddy, I think Phil sees everything he wants to be in Teddy.
Yes. I remarked on that last week when he was trying to give advice to Ravi, and I thought, you're trying to copy what you see Teddy as being like.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a really interesting dynamic between Phil and Teddy that we've not really seen with Phil before. Like, every so often, what we'll get is a new hard man that comes onto the square and is Phil's competitor, and he's not a hard man until he's taken on Phil. That's normally the formula for how it goes. But actually, what we've got here is somebody taking on Phil emotionally rather than physically.
What was that line he said? Because he was saying that he could have had him at darts, and then he said something about the art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting, or something like that. Yeah.
So
and I think Phil went, oh, right, aren't you the bigger man?
Far too philosophical for Phil to do. He was like, what?
I didn't think that. I think you were like,
I know. I think he got it, but it was sort of like, was that way? Is that how you've been playing this around the start? How the hell am I supposed to know?
No, me, Phil, me, fist.
So, but yeah, I think Phil got what he was saying. But this is what I mean with Teddy. I want him to be good, but I don't know.
So now you're not buying it now, are you, Rob? Is that what you're trying to say? Is it too good to be true?
It's the jumper. Nobody walks around with a jumper like that over their neck if they're a good bloke, let me tell you.
But I agree. It's almost a bit too like I'm trying to prove a point. Look at how suave I am with the jumper.
I mean, I don't think he's an angel, put it like that. But
it is part of his character, though.
Yeah. I don't think he's an angel, but what I think is the idea. What I love about the way that these new Mitchell boys have been brought in is that actually it's not about, because so often when a new kind of brood of characters come in, the characters that they are coming into sort of deal with them all quite quickly, and it's sort of like, okay, this is the new normal now. But actually, what this has done is their arrival has really sort of ricocheted some characters off in a completely different direction, which I think is really. This sort of feels like, oh, that's how you do it. That's how you bring a new bunch of characters into the Mitchells, and ultimately, where all this boils down to is Phil feels threatened. And I think he looks at Teddy and I think he sees everything that he wishes he was. Because he's aware of it. Phil's aware of his own anger. Phil's aware that he very often ruins things. He breaks everything he touches. And he looks at someone like Teddy, whose kids adore him, who is the family man, who is capable and clever and intelligent, and Sharon clearly fancies. You've got that last kick in the balls before the end of the week as well. So
Phil, I think it's very clear that Phil is a result of Eric's upbringing.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, imagine what Phil could have been without Eric's upbringing. That's what Teddy is. Teddy is what a Mitchell man looks like if he's not had Eric Mitchell as a father figure. Yes. And that is what winds Phil up more than anything, because he realizes what he could and should have been. And that is fascinating to me for a character like Phil.
Maybe that's why Teddy's turned out the way he has, because Stevie's brought Teddy up when he's not been around the other toxic Mitchell men as well. Yeah. So then he's been able to actually,
I mean, Stevie is a lot of things. He's a bit of an idiot, clearly, because of what he did, and the way that he kind of couldn't keep it in his pants. But ultimately, not exactly a bad person. You know what I mean? Just someone who's clearly quite
made
crap
mistakes,
at
a lot of mistakes,
quite crap at dedication, but ultimately probably quite a good dad in the sense of what you can turn somebody into when you don't just dump them in care like you did Billy. If you actually put the effort in like he clearly did with Teddy, that's what you get. So,
Rob, is there a dark side to Teddy?
Or is there a dark side to Teddy?
Where's Teddy getting all his cash from? Why is he able to just chuck money around like he
Maybe does? Teddy's got Bianca tied up in a warehouse somewhere.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah, no, of course I didn't.
And Harry and Barney's mum secretly. That's where she is.
No, do you know what? Now we're talking about it. What I really think Teddy is supposed to be about is, I think he's a bit dodgy. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a bit of a rough diamond. I don't think he's going to be like the next villain at all. But what I'm saying is, I feel like there is maybe that little bit where he might go a little bit dark in terms of, because ultimately, Teddy is the new Mitchell generation. Like these new boys are supposed to be, I think, the next face of the Mitchells. So he's got to have that side of him where he will switch occasionally. But I don't think he's going to be like an out and out villain with a shelf life at all.
And see, no, I don't. But I think he's one of them where he's going to be like, look, I spoke to you nicely. I tried to sort this out calmly 3 times. I have a 3-time strike and then like gouge their eyeballs out or something.
With a spoon.
Do you know what I mean? I tried to talk to you nicely, didn't I? And then
maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I think there's going to be much more to come with Teddy. But I'm really, really, really fascinated by this dynamic between Phil and Teddy. I think it's really, really clever.
Who made the comment when Phil first goes into the restaurant and he's not got the head of the table seat, Ian. And somebody says, "Oh, you've been demoted."
It was Ian of all people, just to make Phil's day 10 times worse. Even Ian's got one over him.
Just to rub salt in the wound. You've been demoted.
But wasn't that interesting at that moment that Phil goes and sits at his natural place at the head of the table, and yet he's so far apart from everybody else on the table?
Yes,
like he's
the symbolism in that seating.
So alone, even at where he belongs at the head of the table.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, like you say, comes home, has a row with Denise and Raymond. Denise storms out. Why Denise has been there all this time, I have no idea.
I don't either. And he's so harsh to Raymond. It's unreal.
Oh, that was so hard. That was really, really sweet what Raymond did to try and make it. It was horrible at that moment. He really, really
and
was.
I'm sorry. I get that he's had a bad day. I get that he's had his car nicked. I mean, he normally can just...
He's in a very bad mood.
He can normally put 20 grand out of his secret safe anyway, so I don't really know what he's crying about,
what you're whinging about, honestly. But ultimately...
no matter what happens, you don't come in and take it out on your kid, do you?
Especially not cute Raymond. So Denise storms out, and it ultimately leaves Phil completely on his own, and he just dissolves into tears, and that's the last shot of the week.
Poor Phil, nasty Phil that he's been.
Isn't it ridiculous? And I think that's a credit to Steve McFadden. I think because at the end of it, Phil, there is a sympathetic side to Phil, because I think ultimately Phil is just a really unhappy person. Like generally, he's just an unhappy person. You don't get that angry that quickly if you're not if you're a happy person.
Exactly.
And that's because of everything that has happened to him ever since he was a kid, I think, and just the way that he's chosen to deal with it. But I think that the fact that he's crying was actually quite a big moment, because I feel like the only time we ever really see Phil cry, it's quite rare to see Phil cry, and I feel like the only time we ever really see Phil cry is like after death of somebody.
I was just thinking that. I was just looking at the photo behind you and thinking, that's when we see Phil cry, when he comes past.
Either that or when he's on crack, one of the two.
Oh, yeah.
And so for Phil to literally be sitting there crying at this stage of his life, just because he's feeling a little bit sorry for himself, he is feeling fragile, he's feeling vulnerable, which is a brand new thing for Phil.
Yeah.
And he's feeling alone because Louise won't return his calls, which I think surprises absolutely nobody. So I think this is fascinating. I really, really love it. I think this is a genius storyline to give to Phil. I really, really do. And it feels like so long since Phil has had his own story.
Yeah, definitely. I know, I agree. I'm just wondering how they're going to take it, though. Is it going to be that he's in his house crying, but every time he leaves the house, he's just snappy at everyone?
I think that's
defensive Phil.
I think that's going to be it for a while.
Every day,
yeah, I think so. Now, where does that go then? Is the question from here.
Do you think he's going to start drinking again?
Well, we haven't long had. It is the sort of thing that tends to send Phil back to the bottle. But I mean, I feel like we've just had it happening with Linda. Now, maybe they've worked that out quite cleverly in the fact that just as Linda comes back off it, she's there as his sponsor. Maybe.
Or I was just going to say the opposite, and they're just going to get pissed together, and he's going to impregnate another woman.
Please no. Please no. I can't deal with Linda.
And then he won't be lonely again, though, Phil.
Of course he will.
You, Phil, then.
Of course he will, eh? Of course he will. He'll still be lonely because Linda will be like, "Well, that's a terrible idea. You're not seeing my child. Thank you very much." I know. I can't.
Mix.
I can't. Yeah, I can't be doing with another child of Linda, and I can't be doing with Phil having another child either. But yeah, that is an option. I mean, the problem is that mind you, Phil's got new liver now, so I suppose he can drink whatever he likes, can't he?
Yeah, exactly. Crack on.
Yeah,
no crack, actually.
No crack. No crack. Yeah, I think it's a possibility he might go back to the bottle as he gets, because this is going to get worse, isn't it?
I mean, it'd be interesting to see it without the alcohol first, but given Phil's character, it'd make total sense for him to turn to the bottle,
I think, yeah, I get a feeling you're right. I think he might end up. He's definitely going to be we're definitely going to have a scene where I think he's going to get drunk at least once.
Yeah.
At least once. And it's been a while since Phil's done drunk acting. I love Steve McFadden's drunk acting. He is the most convincing drunk ever.
He is so good. He and Linda, actually, though, to be fair, Kelly Bright.
Let me piss together.
Exactly, and let him make a pissed baby together.
I don't want a pissed baby, but what I do want is a pissed two-hander between Phil and Linda. That would be amazing.
That would actually be really good. Come on.
I would love that. That would be good. Come on.
Yeah.
What?
That'd be wow. That'd be the happiest and saddest sight
Best
to see,
episode ever.
Yeah, it would. That would.
So yeah, brilliant. I love it. I really like where this is going. Yeah, fantastic. I'm intrigued to see where it goes from here. I think you're right. I think he's going to end up drinking again, but I think that because the thing is with Teddy and Sharon, because that's a thing now as well. Like Sharon has seen a new bald. Well, Sharon's seen a new bald Mitchell, so she's like, "Yep, I need to add that to my list." Checkpoint. So
she's like Stacey with Branning Men, isn't she?
Yeah.
With Sharon with Mitchell Men.
Yeah. So
maybe Harry as well. Maybe Harry needs to watch out.
Yeah. She'll make Barney put his book down for sure. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, love it. Gold star this week, Ree?
Oh, I am thinking. Oh, I'm torn between the two. You say yours and then I'll say mine in case it's the same two.
I'll give mine to Phil because I loved it.
Oh, okay. I'm actually going to give it to Billy for standing up to him.
Yeah, fully fair. Yeah. So Phil and Billy for the gold stars this week. Let us know who your gold stars are going to in the comment section. And talking of comments, we shall now go to what you guys have been saying about this week's episodes.
So starting off with a comment that we've got from Lauren Charles, who says, "This was another excellent episode. Definitely confirms the loneliness storyline for Phil. Once again this week, I have to comment on Teddy. Such a brilliant character for the Mitchell family and the show in general. He's a genuinely lovely guy, it seems. Seeing Phil break down at the end was hard. Certainly hard to not feel sorry for him. as he is struggling with this lonely phase of his life. Well done, EastEnders.
See, Lauren doesn't think there's anything dark going on with Teddy, does she?
Well, do you know what? I am actually going to put a poll out on our Instagram about this, Rob.
Do that. Yes.
And I want you to let us know.
Yes.
Yeah, what you think. Is there a dark side to Teddy, or
we should do that more often? We should do that much more often.
We'll read the results out in 2 weeks' time once Rob gets back from his holiday.
Yes, we will. That's an excellent idea. We had a comment from Ben Andrews, who has said, gutted Stevie has left. He was such a great character, and I've never seen Big Mo with such real material to act out before either. He will be missed. Yes, I agree. I do think Stevie will be back. I really, really do. I think he has gone down very well with the audiences, and that's sometimes what they'll do is that they'll sort of test run a character, see how people react to it, and then
see if the actor will come back. Like, do you know that little stint you did?
Do you want to come back for something a bit more permanent? Yeah. Shall we do that? Yeah, Stevie will be back. Also, 100%.
Agree with the Mo thing as well, because when you think about it, we don't really see Mo other than with the Slaters or talking about Fat Elvis. So it's nice.
It's nice for her to have something outside of that, of her own thing.
And seeing her talking about, issues with the family and how she might handle something, seeing a bit more of a serious side to her. That was nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we've got a final comment from Joe Goodyear, who says, Mr. McFadden hit this one out of the park. As we say in the States, a home run.
I think that's a baseball reference, Ree.
It is a baseball reference. I do know some sports, Rob.
Absolute lad.
We concur. He
100%
hit it out of the park.
Out of the park. It's in the distance. It's hit a flying plane over the top of the pitch. Yes, it was very, very good.
And who knows what else is to come then if he's done this already this week and got people talking. That's just from one scene of him. One scene of him crying, Steve, and we're all talking about it.
We know Steve McFadden can act. He's one of the best actors in the show. And it gets underrated, I think, how good Phil is, because he's been there for so long. But there's so many layers to Phil that so rarely get scratched at. So I'm really pleased that this storyline is happening. I'm very, very excited. So you can send all your abuse that I'm not here next week to the following addresses.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Yes.
And we'll read all those comments in 2 weeks' time when Rob is back from his holiday that he's inconveniently taken.
Sorry. And please do make sure that you join our Facebook group, by the way, which has just hit 1.4 thousand people.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. We're so popular and famous. Dear. So thank you very much. We were back when I'm back from Budapest in over a week's time. And
Have a great time, Rob. I'm sorry. I'm putting right dampener on you going on holiday.
I'll give it a go throughout my guilt that I'll feel throughout the entire holiday. And I will be back the week after next. And I promise you it'll be worth the wait, because if a load of big stuff's happening this week, I promise you we will cover it all. So just bear with us until I get back. And then I promise you, we're not off till October after that, okay?
You're making a lot of promises here, Rob. Let's just...
Well, I'll follow them, Ree.
We'll not pinky promise it. We'll not pinky promise it.
I promise it.
Okay.
So, until we see you next, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.